going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be upgrading the supercharger in my 95 for Lightning. Alright guys, so the reason why I'm actually upgrading the supercharger in my 95 for Lightning is because I never actually had my supercharger apart to inspect the bearings, and I'm actually going to be going with a smaller upper pulley, so I definitely need to upgrade the bearings, and this is the best time to do it. Now, the factory bearings on these superchargers are actually only rated for like 36,000 RPMs, and with the smaller upper pulley, I'm going to be pushing it far past that, so I need to upgrade the bearings to something better. So I went over to 920 Motorsports, and I went with their ceramic bearings that they have and they offer. They're ready for higher RPMs for sure, and with the 2.7 upper pulley that I'm going to go with, it's going to be definitely safer than going with the factory ones. So today I'm going to show you guys the steps on what it takes to rebuild these. I've actually never rebuilt one before, so we're going to be learning together, but I'm going to show you guys what it takes to do one. If you guys are interested, you can actually send your supercharger into 920 Motorsports and they'll rebuild it for you. I think it costs around $1,000. So I'm going to save yourself a little bit of money, save myself a little bit of money, and do it ourselves. You do need a shop press. It makes the job a little bit easier. I'm going to show you guys right now the parts that are going to be going into the supercharger. Alright guys, over here in the bench we have what's going to be going into today's video. These are the bearings. These are the two bearings that are going to go onto the impeller shaft, and then we have two bearings that are going to be going onto the drive shaft of the supercharger. And it also comes with their Super Torque belt. This comes in a kit from 920 Motorsports, and then I also went with their 2.7 upper pulley. This is an 8 rib pulley. They also offer a impeller just like supercharger rebuilds, but 920 Motorsports impeller actually is like $600, and supercharger rebuild impeller was like I think $240. It was a lot cheaper, and they both claim 40% more airflow, so it was just a no-brainer to go ahead and go with supercharger rebuilds impeller. So yeah, that's what's going to be going in today, guys. And for all you guys who have been following the build, this is my 95 for Lightning. This has been a great little project for me over the last year. Here is the supercharger. This is a Paradigm BD11A. This is gear driven, guys, and this is a 2.1 upper pulley, and I have a ASP 8-inch lower. First step is to go ahead and take the tension off the tensioner here to get the tension off the belt. Go ahead and take off our intake tube. We can unbolt it from here on the bracket all the way along, and then we can just go ahead and remove it out of the truck. But yeah, let's go ahead and get set up and start removing this thing out of here and get it up on the bench. Tension off the belt. Take the belt off. There we go. Now we're gonna take off our intake tube here. Release the vacuum line on the blow-off valve. So you can pull our tube off. There we go. Set the valve to the side for now. And then we can go ahead and take off the back pipe. Pull this off. Like so. And now we can go ahead and take our Allen bolts off the bottom and pull off the supercharger. Off. Alright, take it over to the bench. Alright guys, so now with the supercharger on the bench, we can take a closer inspection at the whole thing. Make sure there's no play in the shaft, no it spins freely, no crazy sounds. Now, one thing I do want to mention, when you want to upgrade your Paradigm to a better impeller, they sell a round shaft. And the reason why they sell a round shaft, because if you have an older model of the Paradigms, the shaft is actually not round. It's like a triangle shaped, and the only way you can tell whether you have the triangle shaped shaft is if you look at the back of your Paradigm and you look at your impeller, and if you have a nut like mine that holds the impeller down, then you have the new style and it's a round shaft. But if you have a bolt head that holds the impeller shaft down, or the impeller, then you have the old version, and you need to upgrade to a round shaft as well. So you're gonna have to purchase a round shaft for the impeller, because the impeller actually is round. And if you have the older version, it's gonna be like a triangle shaped shaft. I'll show you a picture of what I'm talking about, because it's kind of hard to describe. But yeah, if you have a nut, you have the newer version. You don't need to upgrade your shaft at all. You can just use the factory one. So right now we need to go ahead and unbolt the back scroll from the power dyne. So this is the scroll. This houses the impeller. So we need to go ahead and unbolt it. And to unbolt it, we got to take these off here. What size are these? Probably like 11 or 10, 11 or 12. We need to unbolt this from here, and then the back scroll should come right off. So let's go ahead and start that. Gonna use a little rubber mallet here to kind of help it separate from the back. Once it starts coming loose, we can go ahead. There we go. All right. Doesn't look bad at all. Actually, it looks like an upgraded impeller. We'll find out once we take off the front cover. But the impeller actually looks nice and may even be upgraded. Alright, with our scroll off now, we can go ahead and unbolt our front pulley. Alright, so I'm just going to use like a little pry bar to pry in here back. These shouldn't be on very tight. It doesn't want to come off. It may be pressed on, but I don't think it should. It looks like it's coming off. What we could use is a 2-jaw puller, but it's actually coming off. There we go. It's actually coming off. And there we go. This is the 3.12 pulley, and this is the new 2.7. So it's definitely a lot smaller. Should give us a little bit more boost. Put this off to the side for now, and now we can go ahead and take off these hex bolts here along the front cover and pull off the cover. We want to be careful because there is a seal here and there is a seal on the inside. So let's go ahead and take off these Allen bolts first. Alright, now with all the screws out, take off our impeller. I'll take these shims out here. You don't want to lose these shims here. This is what shims the impeller to the scroll. Don't want to lose those. Go ahead and pull this cover off. Oh yeah. Oh, that's not looking good on the inside. Look at all that. Wow. Looks like we did this just in time, because it looks like it's really nasty. It looks like this belt is starting to deteriorate, and the bearings as well. So I guess we cut it just in time. Now there's no play in the shaft, which is good. Look at all this. It's pretty nasty. So we need to go ahead and clean up in there. We need to figure out how to get this bearing out of here. It stayed in the housing, and maybe we can. It looks like we can probably press it out through that little tab there, because there is no hole back here to pull this bearing out of here. but this does look like a new bearing. So I'm going to have to match it with the ones I have, make sure they're new. But the belt here looks like it's coming apart, so that's what all this trash is in here. Definitely need to upgrade the belt. So go ahead and see about taking this apart. Alright guys, so I just did a little bit of research and I found out that the bearings in here are actually been updated recently. So these are actually new bearings in here. These have been rebuilt by Supercharger Rebuilds, and the impeller actually is a upgraded version as well. It's a little bit better than stock, but it's not their best one. It's better. This is the one I got, is actually the best one they have, so that's going to be going on as well. The belt is actually a old belt, is reason why it's all fraying up inside here. So that I'm definitely going to replace with the new one from 920 Motorsports, and go ahead and replace it with their Super Torque belt. But the bearings I'm gonna leave them in here because they're still good. They're basically brand new. It looks like someone was in here. I cross-referenced the bearings to the ones online, and these are the new ones, and these are the ones from 920 Motorsport. These are the actual ones from Supercharger Rebuild. So I'm gonna go ahead and just replace the belt, get it all cleaned up. But like I said, if you were going to replace the bearings, the one in here, you would just punch it out through here, that little hole, punch out that bearing, and get it out of there. And then the other ones, you would just have to press this one out that way, and this would pull the shaft out of here and replace the bearings. And here on the back side, there's a bearing on the back of this little gear. And then you would just go ahead and replace these bearings by pulling them off with like a bearing separator or a puller, but I will use a separator and a press to get this bearing off here. Really simple, nothing crazy. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just clean this up and get ready to take this old belt off and put the new one on. So this one's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to slide this one off and then put the new one on. Alright, we got the belt off and got the insides cleaned up, got all that junk out of there. Just sprayed it with some cleaner in here and got it all cleaned up, ready to put the new belt on. But yeah, this one's been super frilly, and so does this one. So, like I said, it's got brand new bearings. But now we're getting ready to put the new Super Torque belt on. It's kind of a pain because it does have the bearing that's a little bit wider than the gears here, as you can tell. So the belt's not just going to slip on there. So we're going to have to put it on the big teeth first, and then the small one, and then kind of roll it across to kind of get it on there, because as you can tell, it's gonna be a little tight fit. Come on, baby.
1 hour later. 2 hours later. Three hours later.
Ah, bitch.
6.5 hours later.
What's going on? There we go. There's our new belt. Got the new Super Torque on there. Cool. Now we can start going back together. Alright, now that we got our belt back on and we got everything cleaned up, we can go ahead and put it back together. We can just slide this back over here. Like this. It does have these dowels here that go in here on the top and on the bottom to line the cover up. Be careful with their seal here. Alright, make sure nothing is binding up. Once we get our cover back on, we can go ahead and put our screws back on. Alright, once we get our bolt tightened up, make sure everything spins freely. Now we can go ahead and install our impeller shaft here, our propeller. Our impeller needs to go on. But before we put that on, we need to make sure that, don't forget our shims here. So our shims need to go back on. That shims it away from the backside, and make sure that this doesn't make contact with our scroll right here. Make sure this goes on. You might have to press this one on. Alright, this is where the press comes in handy, because we're going to have to press on this impeller. I'm just going to bring this over to our press, line this up. At one point we're going to have to, just in case the shaft decides to go past the impeller, it goes into our socket and we don't smash it with the press. Alright, bottomed out. See, that's why I put a socket on there, so the stuff can go through the socket and not into the shaft. Make sure it spins freely. Just like so. Now we want to bolt up our scroll to this and make sure the scroll does not make contact with the fins, or else we need to press this off again and re-shim it. But let's go ahead and test that out first. Bolt on the bolt, I want to make sure that the impeller does not make contact with the face of the scroll. So I'm going to go ahead and just install this on here like so. Very good. No noise. It's a good sign. Go ahead and we can just reassemble it the same way we took it apart. Go ahead and put our pulley on 2.7. Go ahead and just line out the dowels. Insert the little dowel. Grab our bolt. Tighten this down. Now we can tighten our impeller bolt. We can hold this while we tighten this down. Obviously a little bit bigger bolt. We're gonna need this one. Alright. Good to go. Nice. Sweet. Let's put this back on the truck and then take it for a test drive. Alright, so we got everything put back together, but ran into one problem. Everything was going pretty smooth until I went to go tighten up the tensioner, and the tensioner is at its full tightness, and the belt is still way too loose. So the smaller pulley made a big difference in the belt. So I'm going to have to either get a smaller belt or get a larger tensioner, but I think getting a smaller belt might be the easiest. So I have to take this belt off, and I'm going to figure out what size I'm going to need. I'm going to need one size smaller than this one. So I have to go see if I can find one that's going to be something smaller than this one. So, man, got to wait for a little bit. Alright guys, we are back at home, and actually the auto parts guy was actually pretty knowledgeable. The guy who helped me out, he actually let me know that this belt here, the green one, is actually a 70-inch belt. And the way he can tell is if you read the last three numbers of the belt, it'll tell you the inches. So this is a 70.0 inches, and the new one I got is a 69 and a half. Okay, so this is 69.5 inch belt. That's the length. This actually is just a centimeters. So if you didn't know, now you know. Last three numbers tell you the length in inches of the belt you currently have. So 70.0 and I went with a 69.5. So a half inches shorter. Go ahead and take it out, and hopefully this fits. He didn't have a 7 rib belt. He only had was 5. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this one fits first before I go ahead and order a 7 rib belt online. But for now, let's go ahead and just test this out. Alright, let's see if this is gonna work. Oh yeah, perfect. 69 and a half is perfect. Go ahead and just tie this on for now, and then I'll go ahead and order
A what?
a wider belt.
A water belt? What's that do?
It's gonna work. Oh yeah, perfect. Alright guys, so we're going to take it out for a little quick drive and just make sure that it's not making any kind of weird noises. And then once we drop it around for a little bit, let it warm up a little bit. If this doesn't make any weird noises, I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of gas, a little bit of throttle, and see if I can build a bit more boost. But I'm pretty sure the belt is not going to hold, it's going to slip, but we'll find out. Right now I'm just going to focus on really watching the gauges and seeing if it doesn't make any weird noises. If it does, I'll have to turn on the truck off. I brought some snips with me, so if it doesn't start making some crazy noises, I can just cut the belt. That way it's not, you don't ruin the supercharger if it does go bad. But just in case. Right now, let's just go ahead and drive it around and see if we can make a little bit more boost. Got about 5 miles into the truck, and it's been running really good. No issues, no weird noises. The gauges look good. The truck runs really good. I can definitely feel a difference in the low end torque. But I think it's the belt slipping, because I'll read about 7 pounds. Sometimes I'll read 5 pounds on full throttle. So I think the belt's slipping. I don't have it on very tight, and it's a 5 rib belt, and I need an 8 rib belt. So once I get the 8 rib belt ordered and installed, I'll go ahead and tighten it up a little bit more. But so far it's running good, which was really my main concern. But I definitely feel the boost kicking a little bit sooner for sure. So that's a good thing. But right now I'm just gonna drive around and just make sure nothing goes wrong. And yeah, order me that belt. We'll head back home. And order me that new belt, and then we'll see what it really does. Alright guys, so I just pulled back into the garage, and the truck's running really, really good. I definitely feel a big difference in the low to mid end torque. Now, I do feel like the belt is slipping, so I definitely need to get a smaller 8 rib belt, because the one I thought is just not doing it justice. I think I seen on the gauge around 7 pounds of boost, and then I felt like it slipped down to 5. So the belt's either not tight enough or the belt's not big enough. Either way, I need to get a bigger belt, and I need to tighten the tensioner. Until then, we won't know for sure. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research and automate the correct belt. If you guys found the video helpful, please do me a big favor: hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next one.